and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going over everything that sold at my last market. The market took place on October 14th and 15th. It was a 2-day market at the same location. That is the Beasley Farms market that I do pretty much every month. Not quite because life, but pretty much I do it every month. This is probably going to be a long video because, spoiler alert, I sold a lot of stuff. Like, a lot of stuff. Like 100 items. And because it's such a large portion of my inventory, you can just watch this video right here where I show you everything I brought to the market and tell you my prices so you could see everything. And then, as always, there'll be a Google Doc link below with the patterns, except now instead of making a new Google Doc for every video, I just have kind of like a master list. So if I say, baby leggy frog, you just go down the Google Doc to baby leggy frog. That's the pattern I use for that. Ta-da! Anywho, I'm sure you guys are familiar with like a lot of these because we like all kind of run in the same circles. So a lot of the same patterns get passed around because, they're good. But yes. These are in no particular order. It's alphabetical, but it starts with headbands, so I'm not really sure why. So I sold one headband. Those are the twist headbands that I make on the knitting machine. And I almost sold two because the mother bought it for her like 4-year-old, and she was going to buy one for herself. But coincidentally, I sent like almost all of my headband stock up north with my mom, who is doing an event in October also. She lives in Missouri, where it's like already cool. So I sent them up there with her so they'd potentially sell better. And they did sell better. She didn't sell out of them, but she sold more than I usually do. But coincidentally, I would have sold more if I had more in stock. I just think that's funny. I still, if I do make them, will film that tutorial, but I still am like leaning toward not making any more just because I live in Florida and it's kind of unrealistic, but we'll just see how that goes. Then the next section are my keychains, and my keychains are just listed in here under like the price. Then the keychain, I have like $8 keychains, $10 keychains, just because it would be better than having like a bunch of individual keychains. I feel like I could just group by price. So off the top of my head, I might not exactly remember them, but you'll get the general idea. So I have the next thing as a $10 keychain. If I had to guess, I'm pretty sure this is one of those like fuzzy fluff ball things that I got initially. The pom-pom, that's the word. I got initially for those like pom-pom hats, but then I remembered I live in Florida, and if no one's going to buy like a headband because it's like a yarn headband, they're probably not going to buy a beanie because it's hot. I didn't end up using them for hats, so I turned them into keychains because like I ain't trying to waste my own money. You feel me? I think that's what that was. The next thing was an $11 keychain. That was my mushroom, which I'll link the tutorial to right here. I put it on one of those like plastic keychains with like the colored chain and sold it for $11. That's also the same price that I sell them for without the keychain, so I probably should have bumped that up, but I didn't. So here we are. The next thing was a $12 keychain. I think the $12 keychain was a knit grit whale or knit grits. I can't remember the name, but it's a free tutorial on the YouTube, and then I put a keychain on it. Not my YouTube channel, but knit grit tutorial. You could find that. I sold 3 $14 keychains. That would have been the Angry Coffee mug, which is a free tutorial on YouTube, not my channel. Yeah, so I sold one for 14, and then I sold the chain version of my what the frick? Candy corn. Jeez Louise. I sold the keychain version of my candy corn and my Frankenstein, which were each $14. That was exhausting. Yeah, so a mug, candy corn, and a Frankenstein, 14. And then I sold 3 $8 keychains, which I'm pretty sure were 2 jellyfish, which is all from Jade, which I think is also a free tutorial on her channel, and my pumpkin, which is a free tutorial on my channel, which I'll link right here. I'll link to the chatty version of it, but there's like also a no thing version where it's just music, but the like pattern is basically on the screen the whole time, so You guys don't have to like listen to me talk unless you want to. But yeah, that's basically like a whole slew of free patterns that you can make for keychains, and they sold well. And if I didn't say it, there was 3 $8 ones. Anyway, moving on. I sold 2 $10 mystery bags. I only brought 2. At this point, I don't remember what was in them. But if you watch the video where I go over everything that I made, I tell you what's in them and I show you most of what I put in them. I sold 2 $20 mystery bags. That was both $20, the only $20 mystery bags I brought. Wow, I can't English now that I've done this already. And then I sold both $25 mystery bags. To sum up, I sold out of all my mystery bags. I sold a $15 alien. That was the Weeby alien. That's a pattern from Etsy. I know you guys have seen that like 1,000 times. I sold an axolotl. This is a free Instagram pattern for 20, if I didn't say. I sold out of my baby leggy frogs. I brought 4. Otter sold. They sold for $10 each. That's a pattern from Etsy. I sold 2 baby sharks. That is the pattern by Rachel, the farmer's wife, on Etsy. They sold for 12 each. I sold a bow bun, which is a pattern by Chloe from Emmy Creations. I feel like, and this could be totally made up, I feel like she might have had that tutorial on her YouTube, but I bought the pattern on Etsy, so I can't 100% speak to that. But I sold it for 25 because in addition to being like a dumpling, I also bought a steamer pot off of Amazon and sold it like as a set, and it's like a real steamer pot. It's a very small steamer pot. It was only like had a 4-inch diameter, but if anybody ever wants to learn how to make bao buns, like now they have the steamer pot. I sold out of my big leggy frogs, but this time I only had 1 left over from my last market, so only 1 sold, but I sold that for $12. I sold the big plush version of my candy corn. So the lady who bought the 2 keychains, the candy corn and the Frankenstein, also bought both sides Frankenstein. But I sold her for 20. I sold the carrot that I've had for 20. It was originally priced at 25, but what had happened there was a guy and his girlfriend came in and she had like pretty long red hair, and he like immediately like beelined it right for the carrot and picked it up and asked, "How much is this?" And I said, "It's either 20 or 25. I don't remember." It ended up being 25, but he asked me if I would take 20, which like understandably because I said it could be that. Um, which I didn't mind, and he would probably still would have paid the 25. Like he was already reaching for his wallet. I was able to like ascertain that the carrot thing was like an inside joke between them that had to do with her hair. But I don't know. I always discount and or give away like at least one thing at each market. And you guys don't have to do that, but I always like have like a special vibe with somebody. If I can see somebody really wants something, like I'll give it to them. This was a situation that was a little different because I feel like you would have been totally fine paying the 25, but I don't know. It just was like a nice exchange and they were funny. And then they ended up following me on Instagram after, and she like commented that she really liked her carrot and they were like really excited about it. So that was always like really cool too. And coincidentally, small little side note story, one of the customers that I like discounted the thing for at one of my markets was a teacher, and she was buying this pink mushroom that I think is a shield maiden pattern from Etsy, but don't quote me on that. And I haven't made that pattern since then. But she came in and she was talking about how she had like got a blanket for a friend that was pregnant that had mushrooms on it and really liked my mushroom, but also really liked my wooden rattle. And she didn't have the money for both, like to pay full price. So I ended up discounting whichever you want to like apply the discount to. I ended up discounting the order so she could afford to like do both. And she was like a teacher, I remember that. But anyway, the gist of the story is she actually came into my booth this time at this market and I remembered her. And she was like, real flattered that I remembered her. But I like a lot of times, I don't know, I just remember my customers, and that goes all the way back to when I worked like fast food customer service. I just don't know, people stick. So I might not be able to remember your name, but I can remember your order, or in like her case, what I sold to her. So that was cool. Anywho, moving on. I sold 3 chickens. I'm pretty sure it was 2 of the Mabel the chicken pattern. This one, which I'm coincidentally working on right now. I just had an order for this chicken this morning, so it's a very quick pattern. So I was able to like whip it up and get it in the mail already. But I'm also restocking for my market. I've got 3 little chicken bodies. I think I'm going to make either 6 or 8 altogether for markets, in general. But I think it was 2 of this pattern and then 1 of Chip the Chick. That is a free pattern, free tutorial. I paid for the pattern, okay? If there's like a paid version of a pattern, that's the version I have. But I do try to remember which ones have free tutorials, because I know there's like some of you guys that prefer to not have to pay for patterns, and like, I hear you. So I do know, has a free tutorial on her YouTube channel. What's the YouTube channel, Jackie? What is it? Crafts Go Bloom. Yes, so Chip the Chick, he sold. And I had all together originally, starting out last month, 3 of the Mabel pattern and 3 of the Chip the Chick pattern, and they all sold by this market, and that's only 2 markets that I brought them to. And both patterns sold equally because I brought the same number of each. So one pattern's not necessarily better than the other. So if you want to just do the free, is what I'm getting at, it's still a good pattern because it sold just as well as this one. Anyway, those were 15 each, and I sold 3. I sold my last chunky boy mushroom that I had brought to this market. I had 3 altogether that I made like over summer for the season, which obviously in hindsight seems stupid that I thought that was enough. But I sold 2 the first market weekend last month, and then I sold the last one this month, which is a $15 thing. I sold the last 2 cows I had. Those are $35 each. I sold my last egg. That was the angry egg, because for my September market, I had made a chicken nugget, a happy egg, and an angry egg. And for whatever reason, nobody like bought the angry egg, but everybody thought it was hysterical, because it is. But then like a teenage boy came in and really appreciated the humor, so bought it. So I sold 4 of the flower pot mushrooms. It's called Itty Bitty Flower Pop on Cable and Canvas's Etsy. I sold them for 20, but I had made them with this number 7 weight yarn. Yeah, so all 4 of those sold. I sold the flower sprite. That's a Cable and Canvas pattern. I think it's called like Penelope Petals, but I just call her Flower Sprite. She's basically become the mascot for my like YouTube and business in general, because in all the profile pictures for my social media and for YouTube, I'm like holding her, and on my business card I'm holding her. So yeah, my mascot sold for 25. This is where the Frankenstein's listed for 20. I already told you that. Both keychains and the full size sold to the same person. I sold my gingerbread man. This is my own pattern that's unreleased. And I was saying in the first version of this video that I initially had a 3-pack pattern pack planned for my Christmas patterns. They're a lot bigger sized than my Halloween stuff, but I think at best I'm only actually going to be able to complete 2 and get it out to you guys like on time to make for your winter markets. But for sure it's going to be at least this gingerbread. But it was supposed to be a gingerbread and like a deer and Santa. I was going back and forth between Santa and a snowman, but I think I decided on Santa because I could use the same like body base for everybody. But like figuring out, it's a whole thing. But for sure the gingerbread is done, it's just not released yet. I have to get pattern testers for that. The deer is almost done. I just have to figure out like how to do like the deer horns. It's a whole thing. But at best it's probably just going to be those 2 because I'm running out of time. But he sold for 35 and he was really cute. I sold 2 hippos for 15 each. That is an Etsy pattern. I sold 2 ice cream cones, and you guys have heard me talk about this. This was Katie Being Creative's mushroom pattern that I just added a rim to. So now it's an ice cream. Those sold for 12 each. I sold my jumbo chunky mushroom boy, the one that's like 19 inches tall, for $75, like 75. Yeah, I'm just gonna let that wash over you. That someone like for realsies walked into my booth and gave me $75 for a plushie because it hasn't stopped blowing my mind since. Like I get that my stuff is cute and I get that like people love like cuddly things, but also if we just like take a step back for a second and just like look at the situation, somebody in real life paid $75 for a stuffed animal. Insane. Yep. So I do want to make another one, just for shits and gigs, see if that sells again, but I don't know. It blew my mind. The next thing that I have on this list is my jumbo penguin, which is my regular penguin pattern, but in this 7-weight yarn, I sold it for 25. The next thing that sold is another one of my like a deluxe products. It is my jumbo strawberry frog. It sold for 50. Again, still blows my mind. I know 50 is like quite a bit less than 75, but I mean also 50 for like a stuffed animal is still insane. But this frog in general like put us through the ringer a little bit because you see this yarn right here? It's called Green Ash. It's a Michael's yarn that I guess, I don't know, maybe they're discontinuing it or just like out of stock. But I had made the entire frog except for like the other eye part. So I had like a full head, a full body, 2 arms, 2 legs, one eye, just one eye left to do. And I ran out of yarn. And they were out of stock everywhere online. And then they were out of stock everywhere close by to me. So Zach ended up having to drive almost an hour and a half to pick up some yarn so I could finish this plushie. And I didn't have to finish this plushie technically, but it would have been A, a wasted afternoon, and B, I knew it was going to be about a $50 product. So it felt like also a waste of $50. But I'm like, yeah, I really think I want to finish it. So he like graciously after work one day drove basically 3 hours to get me the last 2 skeins that existed in frickin' Central Florida. And I finished it, and then I crocheted a little strawberry for it. It was a Madeline Mayco on Etsy pattern for the frog. But then I just like crocheted a strawberry and sewed it on. So it was like a big frog guy holding the strawberry. Yeah, so I think it turned out cute, but it definitely put us through the ringer. But this was the first event that I brought it to, and it sold. So I like felt vindicated by that, but also people have lost their minds. I mean, I'm gonna like have that be in the thumbnail for this video because I get that like it's fall and Christmas is coming, but y'all are throwing around money. $75 on a plushie, $50 on a plushie, insane. So it was a really nice story. A mom and like a friend aunt person and a kid that was probably about 13 came in and we're looking at all my stuff. And I do think they bought something, but they bought something small. But the girl really liked the frog. But I mean, naturally, the mom was like, "Are you insane? That's $50." And I guess they let her go like run off somewhere. And they circled back around, the mom and the aunt. And the aunt was like buying it for the girl's birthday because I guess it's in like 2 weeks. They didn't want her to see it. So she's like, "Do you have a bag big enough?" And I do have pretty big like the paper bags, but like their size for almost all my stuff, not really my jumbo stuff. So I'm like, I don't. But I did have a black grocery bag because we had like stopped to get me snacks for the event. So I literally like dumped out like my Slim Jims and my waters and stuff. I could like help them sneak the jumbo frog for her birthday. So that was really cool. But yeah, $50. People have lost their ever 11 minds. But also, thank you. But also, are you sure? I like literally for both those people, I like literally asked because I've told you guys this. I like making my jumbo stuff because those are literally like patterns that I just wanted to make. And I do happen to like repurpose it to like bring to my events. as like showpieces, but it's really just when I want to crochet something, I will. And then if I bring it and it sells, great. But I don't expect like $50 to $100 plushies to sell because like that's $50 to $100 on a stuffed animal. It's not like, nice clothes or like nice jewelry or anything. It's like a stuffed animal. It doesn't really have a purpose other than to like be cute. So yeah, it like blows my mind when like the big stuff sells. But anywho, the next thing that sold was a large chicken, which was the chick pattern in this jumbo yarn. It sold for 25. I had made like a large version of my chickens and a large version of my penguins. So both those birds were like side by side for 25 each. I had 4 large plush octos that were 15 each. That was the pattern by Crochet by Jenna. I had 2 of my own pumpkins, which is that same pumpkin keychain pattern. I also make it in plush yarn. People really like this yarn. This is like the fall yarn from fall Bernat blanket from, I got it at Joann, but wherever Bernat blanket is sold. But I also don't know if this is still in stock because it seems to be like a seasonal yarn, but it's super cute. People really like the pumpkins and the chickens made with that yarn. So I sold 2 large pumpkins for 12 each. I sold my large sunflower turtle for $45. That one was the what's her name? All from Jade turtle, and then I just did like sunflowers around the like turtle shell. I sold another axolotl for 20. This was a laying down axolotl, so that was probably from, let's see, that's the word. I sold my last little bee. I had basically like 6 bees for my last market, 3 little ones and 3 big ones. I sold out of almost all my bees at the last one. The only one that was left was this like little gray bee, and it sold for $6. That's my own pattern. I'll link it right here. I forgot I have a tutorial for it for free. I sold 2 mini dinos for 15 each. Nope, not mini, medium. One of those, oh, both of those. Yeah, because my medium ones were mine. Both of those were my own pattern, which is on my Etsy. There's like a Triceratops dino, and then there's like a T-Rex style dino. So like one standing up and then one laying down, and both those sold at this event. Were they 15? It says on here that they were 15. Maybe I priced them wrong. Because I think they were supposed to be 20. And then the other ones that are like slightly smaller were 15. So I might have actually sold them at a discount. I'm just now realizing. But either way, they still sold. So you guys can still check out that pattern. Next thing that sold was a mermaid. I made the mermaid. I don't remember her name, but you've seen the pattern on Etsy if you like shop Etsy for patterns, I'm sure. It's the mermaid that has the little buns. I sold her for 25. Oh, and I used felt eyes. I don't know. She was really cute. I liked her. I sold 4 of my mini plush octos for $9 each. That's an all from Jade pattern. I sold 4 of my mini pumpkin. Those were 6 each. I just take my pumpkin pattern and scale it down to make those. I sold the last of my mini turtles for 20. I sold 3 of my mushrooms for 11 each. That's the tutorial that I already mentioned for the mushroom keychain that I sold. I sold 3 penguins for 15 each. I sold my plush witch hat for $10. That's in my Halloween pattern pack. I sold 5 pot mushrooms. So I already mentioned the like flower pop. There's like a regular like mushroom counterpart that's just called like itty bitty mushroom pop or something. Itty bitty mushy pop. That's what it is. I'm pretty sure. I sell those for 13. Yeah, 13. And I had brought 2 in purple, 2 in like a peachy color, and 2 in pink. And I specifically use those colors because those yarns are Bernat blanket yarn, but it's their sparkle variety. So I picked some sparkle colors that I had on hand. So it was like the sparkle yarn and then just like a white base. And I would have sold out of all of them, except I ended up giving one away because this like mom and daughter came in, and like you could tell the mom had kind of a long day, but the daughter was like really excited about my stuff. And I just like could tell. So the mom walked away and I'm still talking to the daughter. She was probably 14, 15. And she was just like really like excited about my stuff. Like can't convey her emotion. But she's like, "Oh, it's all so cool." And I told her about like YouTube and how I learned on YouTube and all the things. And so I ended up, she really liked the mushroom. So I ended up giving her the last one that I had. Um, and she was like, "Are you sure?" "No, I can't." And I'm like, "Yes, you can take this mushroom." And she's like, "No, no, I like cannot do that." And I'm like, "Yes, you can." So I like literally picked it up and I like forcibly like put it in her hand. And then I was like, "And now your sister's with you." They had like a younger sister with them. "You have to like pick something for her. What do you think she'd like?" And she ended up picking out like one of the mini plush octos. I'm like, "Great." And she was like, "I cannot take this." And I'm like, "Yes, you can." And she's like, "My mom's going to think I stole it." And I'm like, "Well, you just let your mom know that you did not steal it and I gave it to you." And she was like really grateful. And she's like, "Can I give you a hug?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." Like, and we like hugged it out. And then her mom ended up doubling back around and bought uh, something from me anyway. My daughter had crocheted this little seal, and when they had stopped in the first time, I told them that like my daughter had crocheted the seal and like itself, she gets the money for it and all that. So she came back and was like, "Well, I want to do this," and bought the seal. The seal was only like 20 bucks, so it's not too bad. But yeah, it was like a nice thing. At the event last month, I gave a little mini strawberry to a girl on her second birthday because it was just, I don't know, it was nice. But yeah, I'm very convinced because like all my pop things sold that if I didn't give that one away, it would have sold too. But it's totally fine. I totally lost where I'm at. The writing on this is super small. But yes, 5 for $13 each. I sold 2 possums for 15 each. Those were my last 2 possums. I sold 3 small dinos for 15 each. That's why I think my like report's wrong because I know my small dinos. My small dinos are 15. My medium dinos are 20. And then I had like large dinos. One of them was Bronto, the long neck, and they were 30. But yeah, I basically sold out at all my dinos. It's out of the last 2 markets. I think I only have one left after this one. I sold my ghost. This was my unreleased ghost pattern, and now it's like too late. But I made like a mini version of the pattern that I had seen on Etsy that I like bought, but the big one comes out a foot tall. I'm trying to push it on my Etsy now because I kind of get rid of it, but he's still hanging around. But I made like a $25 mini version of him and gave him like a little happy face, and I was calling him the friendly ghost. So that one sold for 25. I mentioned the seal, the snow seal. It was white seal. It sold for 20. I don't know what pattern that is because I didn't make it. So that one's not linked in my pattern thing. I sold both squids that I have had for 25 each. I sold one of my wooden rattles. That's not a crochet product, obviously, but I do make them, and it was 15. I sold one of my medium small like worsted weight octos. That's 7. It's an all from jade pattern, but it's a different all from jade pattern, so it makes like a slightly like bigger octo than like the mini one that I usually bring. I sold one of those for 7. The regular mini ones that I always bring, I sold 2 of those for 5 each. That's the one that I make like the $5 like worsted weight yarn version and then the $9 plush yarn version. I sold 2 scrunchies for 10, 5 each, 10 altogether. And then I sold one of my silicone teethers from like when I had baby stuff. I still like bring some of that baby stuff. So the teether, I don't make those obviously, but I had them, was $3. And I guess I should get a grand total. And my total is going to be like a little bit askew because this is everything that I sold. But some of this, I run everything through my square just so it keeps track of my inventory. But some things I call cash that actually came through like Venmo or Cash App or whatever. And then some things that I just like adjust the inventory for like after the fact. So it just like depends on the day. Like I'm not a super great bookkeeper is all I'm getting at here. So the math might be slightly off because I did have a couple things run through Venmo that I went through after the fact and like adjusted the inventory for. But sometimes, like I said, I run the things through and as cash just because I take the cash out of the cash drawer after the fact and just deposit it in the bank. So it like adjusts the inventory. Because like if I have say I have like 9 mushrooms listed in my thing in my Square app, but someone buys one through Venmo, my Square app doesn't know to take that mushroom out of my inventory, and I like being able to use my Square also as like a digital copy of like what I've got going on in my inventory. So I'll run the transaction through and pretend like they paid me in cash because like all the money is just going to end up in my bank account anyway. So it automatically adjusts. But then sometimes if I get home and I haven't done that yet, I just go in and like manually adjust. Okay, I have 6 on me. I remember this guy paid through Venmo, so I need to adjust that. And you can like do inventory recounts in Square. You can also do like inventory loss, like where you put it in basically as if it was like stolen merch. The grand total is $1,587, and that's net sales. So I assume that's like after the fees. Anyway, that is like $1,500. It was like 600 the first day, which I was pretty blown away by because I had like a $550 goal for the weekend. But then, like, after I passed that the first day, like, I just had no expectation for the second day. And I feel like Sundays are usually slower, but I ended up doing more on Sunday than I did on Saturday. So that was kind of insane. I feel concerned about people because they bought $1,500 worth of plushies in today's economy. But also, $1,500 and not too bad. But I had a specific goal in mind, and you guys will probably be like amused by it because like I know I do good stuff, but my expectations are always lower than they like probably ought to be. I only wanted $100 to pay for the event because I paid $100 for the weekend. And then I needed about $200 more because I had bought a Cricut to make some eyes, some of the felt eyes. And the Cricut I got was pretty good, but I basically got the cheapest model. So like if I wanted to do smaller or like finer details, it just wasn't going well. So I wanted to return the Cricut I got because if it's not going to really work for what I want it to work for, then like I don't want it. But then I thought, well, I've got this market and I've only had that Cricut for like 2 weeks before anybody comes at me. And it's only been used like a handful of like sample eyes just to make some like prototypes to get them listed on Etsy. I'm like, I have this event coming up. So if I like make a little more money, then I could return this, get the money, and then buy the like, basically the best one. So that was like a $200 difference. So that became like a goal of 300. And then I wanted 2 more grid walls because I'm like, I made a crap ton of stuff over summer, and like I'm basically having to cram it all into this grid wall setup, and it's like kind of tight. So I think I need 2 more grid walls for all of my plushies. So grid walls are really expensive. 3-pack that I originally got was almost $180 for just the walls. And then after the fact, it's like a real slap in the face, truly. After the fact, I had to go back and like buy the baskets that I have for my grid walls and the like hooks that I use for my mystery bags. So I wanted 2 more. So I just budgeted it out like $200 for that too. So like my whole thing became like 550, which it was $500 to cover the things I want and then like $50 profit just to like have some spending money. And then I like times that by 3 in actual sales. And it's really funny now because I did go and buy my grid walls, but I've got like 99 items left, which I know sounds like a lot, But like 16 of those items are scrunchies. I sold out of like everything. Like everything. So now the fact that I have 5 grid walls is like kind of comical because I've got nothing to put on them. Zach, when he was breaking down all my stuff, put it all into like 2 long baskets, and like that was all of my stuff. So I could literally fill up only 1 grid wall at this point, and now I have 5. So I've been making stuff this week. My next market was supposed to be this weekend, which is like 1 week after the one that I did where I made 1,500. But I had to go see the lady after the event and be like, I need to like cancel or switch. I really don't want to cancel, but like if I come, I don't want to pay $100 to only sell like the $200 worth of inventory I have left or however much it is. Um, and she's like, well, you could cancel. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't really want to do that. Can I switch? And she kind of gave me a little bit of a hard time, but I also get it because people had like wanted these spots and she like turned people away because I'm supposed to be in these spots, which I do like get from her perspective is why, but like also like believe me, lady, I did not expect to sell out all of my stuff. And like how do you expect me to be a vendor and vend if I like don't have anything to sell? And like I said, like 16 of the 100 items I have left are scrunchies. And then I've got like a good handful of like also $5 mini octos. So that's like a quarter of my inventory is just like $5 things. Like don't have a lot left at all. So what she's able to do so far is she took me off the schedule for this weekend and put me on for the 3rd weekend, which I was not supposed to do. So I don't like I'm not really losing money. I am like forfeiting maybe $50, but fair. I'm open to it. So she gave me the option to either do on that 3rd weekend Saturday and Sunday, but I'd be in 2 different spots. So I'd have to go in Saturday, do the event, pack up, move my stuff, and then be in a different spot Sunday, or I could just come in on the Sunday. And I think because 2 weeks is still not a lot of time, I spent like most of the summer building up my inventory because I have like kids and like a day job. I can't make that much that fast. So yeah, I think the 1 day is fair, and I just hope it's like a couple $100 a day, just to like balance the fact that I'm like it was $100 for the weekend, so I'm basically forfeiting 50 already. So I just want to sell like a couple $100 and like make it worth my while, you know? And then I also, because of this, I'm a little bit gun shy, and I do have 2 events next month too, but I need to like take a look and make sure that like I've got enough. And I just vastly underestimated how much money people were willing to throw around. And maybe this was like a fluke thing, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. People are insane. But yeah, in a good way. I know it's a good problem to have to like be sold out of my stuff, and I'm very fortunate to have like made $1,500 selling crochet because like who could have imagined that in life? But also, it's kind of stressful as a business owner to be supposed to like sell stuff and have like not a lot to sell. And I already have like a lot going on with like my other business, my writing job thing. Like, I've done 4 writing jobs this week, and I've done all 4 of those writing jobs within 2 days, which I don't normally do. I usually do 2 writing jobs in like 2 days, but I wanted to like knock it all out. My gosh, this camera is bouncing around a lot. But yeah, I wanted to like knock it all out as fast as possible so I could get to crocheting. And I did officially start crocheting yesterday, Wednesday, because I took Monday, Tuesday to write. Finally. So, yeah. And you guys will like when I show all the stuff that I've made for my like upcoming market, because already I've made patterns that I don't normally make, and I've got like a whole stack. This is my market pattern stack. It's beautiful, isn't it? Oh, and they're all double-sided. So I did try to conserve trees, but it's a fat stack. Yeah, there's a good handful of new products in there, so I think you guys will appreciate that. And they're products that I feel like I've found on my own, so they're not super talked about yet. So that'll be a fun share. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up here. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe because we're going to be doing a giveaway at the 2,000 subscriber mark and we're already at 1,700. And for those who have been subscribed, thank you. You guys are awesome.